I chose, I think, is it Snivy? Is that how you say Snivy? Okay, just, you know, by like going, Snivy. Snivy. Really? Because nobody knows how you say it, right? You're a child. How do you say it? The first way I said it. What was the first way I said it? Snivy? Okay, good. Yay, Pikachu. So that's what I started with, because Bleach Seed is boss, because Bleach Seed is like it stays in the guide even when you swap out Pokemon. But my God, I've been playing that game for like 56 hours and there's no end in sight. These are things Jerry and Kurtz did not warn me about. I flew to Germany last year and I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sleep on the plane. No, I'm going to play Pokemon the entire time. Come back. And then I'm going to think about buying a power adapter from the onboard store, because they have those on airplanes now, so I can plug it in and keep playing. Oh, you look really jet lagged. Did you sleep badly on the plane? No, I was playing Pokemon. Aren't you a little old for Pokemon? Hey, it's a really cool RPG. Speaking of RPGs, this is a story called In Which We Play Cal and D. A few Saturdays ago, I drove over to my friend Cal's house to play D&D. Our friend Steve had come down from San Francisco. He was already there. And our friend Martin was driving out from Pasadena to meet us. Martin lives 5 minutes from my house, and why we don't carpool, I will never understand, but we just don't do it. Because we live in Los Angeles, we all have to take our own cars. Fuck you, Earth! While we waited for Martin to show up, we caught up on our lines, we told stupid and not so stupid jokes, and we got ready for our game. Hey, I said, I brought you a 4th edition DM screen to Cal. In case you don't have it, because it's really one of the most useful DM screens I've ever had. We're not playing 4E, Cal said. Are we playing 3rd edition? I said, imagining a 5-hour encounter where I did little more than try to break a grapple. Come and play Pathfinder! Really, I didn't get through the 79 pages of grappling rules. No, we're actually going to play a system I made up. It's like a hybrid of 1st edition AD&D, 4E, and some other things. You're not even going to have character sheets. Later on, we would describe this particular system as Cal and D. I was intrigued. I implored it to continue. I've adapted a Tomb of Horror style adventure from Dungeon Magazine. Whoa, Dungeon Magazine? Yes, Dungeon Magazine. Give me like an actual magazine, like printed on paper. And he says, yes, I bought it in the mall at B. Dalton bookstores. I decided not to ask him how he actually broke into the museum to steal it. And he continued, we aren't using a battle map, we aren't using minis, and we're not going to get hung up on a lot of rules. You guys are just going to do your best not to die in the Mud Sorcerer's tomb. When Martin arrived, we got our characters. I was a fire mage called Osemi the Corpulent. It was decided that Osemi wore a moo. And Osemi had those like T-Rex arms. And that one of his spells was basically the equivalent of lighting a fart into a mighty gout of flame. Martin was a gnome paladin, I can't remember his name, but he was based on the Travelocity gnome. Steve was a deep earth stone gnome who was essentially a 1st edition thief. Steve is the munchkinest munchkin player I've ever played with in my entire life. And this is how Steve plays, this is how Steve goes. So, like, we establish, you know, our marching order, and then Steve will say, all right, so I've got my 10-foot pole out, and I'm poking everything with it. I'm looking for traps everywhere. I'm going down the corridor looking for traps, and I'm looking for traps. So there's traps, I'm poking things with my, you know, I climb the wall, I climbed up here, and now I'm looking for traps. There are traps there, I've got my 10-foot pole out, and I'm poking things with traps. And he very, you know, so the DM, this is when we played in high school, the DM would say, okay, so everyone is at the end of the corridor, and now you've taken 2 steps. You have not found any traps yet. What do you want to do? And then Steve would pull out, you know, the rules encyclopedia and explain how he's actually allowed to do that. So it was appropriate that he was playing first edition. Our characters met in a tavern, of course, and we left with a bunch of lackeys, who I named Team Cannon Fodder. cannon fodder. We did a little role playing, and we figured out who our characters were. I decided that I was kind of like Fat Bastard, and he leaned toward neutral evil. Steve said that he had, and I quote, a fuckload of healing potions in his adventurer's kit, as well as 2 dozen iron spikes and a 10-foot pole. Then he loaded up that song Like a Rock on his iPhone, and he used it as his theme music whenever he did anything. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna go over there and look behind those trees. Like a rock. On account of being a rock number. Apparently exists in cosmology. Martin's character's goal in life, because it was based on the Travelocity gnome, was to save travelers' gold pieces. This was especially funny because he was a paladin of Garl Glitter Gold, and his battle cry was, "Garl that glitters is gold!" If any of you are under the impression that we took this game seriously, I'd like to welcome you to the room and offer the following exchange to clarify things. Martin said to Cal, "I want to ride a dire badger." What? Yeah, I have a mount, and my mount is a dire badger. A dire badger would eat you, Martin. Oh, not this one. We grew up together. He's my kid. I Twittered this. And more than one person replied that if the dire badger was domesticated, it wasn't very dire. I relayed this to the group. Cal ruled that Twitter was correct. Martin complained about having 1.8 million rules lawyers to deal with. And then I got to ride a tiny donkey that was proportional to my size, like those little motorcycles the world's fattest twins used to ride on like Believe It or Not, and That's Incredible, and In Search Of. It was kind of like a circuit back in those days. We eventually got to the tomb, and most of the lackeys died in the first room. We forget exactly what we ordered them to do, but Cal said after like maybe 2 dozen of them had been killed, okay, the lackeys all get together and one of them steps forward. We have decided to form a union. You have to treat us all the same way. This is when I knew that my character was more evil than usual. Okay, I said, I engulfed the guy in a lit fart. Now I turn to the rest of them and I say, would you all still like to be treated equally? Or will you do what we told you to do? Now this is especially funny to me because I'm 100% pro-union. I'm a member of 2 of them. Cal said that they decided to go ahead and walk down that hallway. Okay, I said. Oh, and as they're leaving, I collect the ashes of like their little union representative guy, and I draw them into a little football field, and I make a body-shaped outline where the 50-yard line would be. So the hallway we were trying to go down had an evil field of evil. And, so I just walked right through, no problem. But everyone else took a lot of damage, and all but one of the lackeys died. It's a very clever way to get rid of the cannon fodder, I said to Cal. Cal just smirked. A little deeper into the dungeon, I took over the mapping duties. Now, I should point out that at this point in our day, the wine had been opened. Now, I don't want to mistake correlation for causation, but my mapping became extremely detailed. And every statue that lined every corridor of the dungeon had a dick on it. Why is it, whenever we play D&D, we become 12 years old, Martin asked. We were all laughing too hard to reply at the time, but I think I can answer him now. system. It isn't always about the game. It's never about the system. And it's not even really about winning, as much as it is about the company and enjoying a few hours rested from the responsibilities and burdens of our real lives. Maybe we all become 12 because that's when most of us started playing. And though the reasons we seek escape have changed, the escape is still necessary and welcome. RPGs can be all about telling a collaborative story. They can be about using our imaginations, challenging our wits, solving puzzles, building heroic epics. But they can also be an excuse to get together with people we like, just to goof off and leave the muddled world behind for a few hours. I once told my wife, if you don't know what a muddle is, you are one. That's science. So, whenever an edition holding war breaks out, or a system holding war breaks out, or someone's wrong on the internet so you won't go to bed, I would encourage you to think about this. Maybe use it as an escape hatch. And ask yourself, how often have you said, wow, that's a great system, versus, I really had fun playing